I really do feel like your space can change everything. How you're going to feel energized, empowered, and be able to tackle your day and pursue your dreams.
Hey guys, it's Mindi Linscomb, your host of the Something New Show, and I'm so excited to have a guest here that actually lives in my hometown, Colorado Springs, but is a huge influencer all over the world when it comes to your home, your decor, your style. She has so many recommendations for people. I cannot wait to introduce you to Misa Liddiard. Thank you for being in the studio today.
Thank you. This is amazing.
It's
truly.
cool to have you because we met through our home builder, actually.
Yeah.
I think that's when I first heard your name was the person that was building my home had just finished building yours.
Okay.
And they said, you need to go see your house. And so your house wasn't done yet. And I got to see it briefly. Didn't get to meet you at that point, but I heard your name a bunch. And I knew you were a design enthusiast and just an expert when it came to curating a beautiful home. And so I was like, oh, I can't wait to see her finish it. Fast forward, we see each other at a baseball game. I'm like, oh, this is you. We finally get to meet. But I just love what you've done with being a mom, a wife. You guys have your own business and you just kind of took to your own path here. And I'm very curious to the origin story of when you decided I'm going to create content and help people with design.
Yes. Wow. Well, I can't even believe that I'm sitting in this chair. I've listened to your podcast for a really long time. And I think we were friends on Instagram initially.
Yes.
Right. And so then when I saw you at that baseball game, I'm like, I have to go say hi. And I'm so happy. You were so warm and I just felt connected immediately. And that doesn't happen sometimes a lot of the time. So thank you for that. And oh my gosh, your house is phenomenal. It was so fun to walk through.
Yes. Well, I feel the same about yours. So it's fun. I mean, when you enjoy design, it's something you can appreciate. And I think, like we were just talking about, we can't wait to see our builders' next parade of homes because they just do great work. And so when you appreciate, not everybody's into it, but I think it's fun. I think it's so fun.
It's beautiful. And he builds such a solid home. When you walk in, you can't help but just look at every single detail. So yeah. I first started Instagram, just kind of like everybody else. I was just kind of posting random things here or there. And I was posting mainly makeup, YouTube kind of content. I was trying to make my way as a beauty YouTuber. And so I was kind of delving a little bit into Instagram. And then
Was this before children?
No, this is actually when I had my first son.
Okay. Yes. So how old is he now?
So he is 8 years old.
So it's not been that long. I mean, when you really think about the like length of time, some YouTubers, it takes like 20 years to be something so it's really only been 8 years that you started dabbling and you started with YouTube.
Yes. Started with YouTube. I was on my maternity leave and I'm like, what am I going to do with all this time? And I followed a couple beauty YouTubers and I fell in love. And so I just love the thought of having my own business from home, not having to leave something I could fit in during nap time or early mornings, things like that. I just wanted something of my own. And so I pursued that for a while and it was, slow. And I wouldn't say I had a couple brand collaborations, but things were just kind of moving in a different direction that I didn't quite know where would go. And then when I started sharing my home on Instagram, and I saw the potential there and I just really niched down and that started growing. That's when I pivoted and took everything I learned from YouTube and started applying it into Instagram.
And you changed from being a makeup person into a house expert.
Well, I wouldn't call myself an expert, but thank you.
But I mean, I would say in your style, you definitely are. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
Like maybe you're not going to design a different kind of house that's not your style, but what would you describe your style as?
Bold, industrial with a touch of masculine. I like to feel with my design just empowered is kind of what I imagine it to be. And there's no true word for it yet. I just call it the Texas Hill Modern.
Oh, okay. So are you from Texas originally?
No.
Okay.
We're from Utah.
Okay. So that's just how
Well, we saw in the design process, as you know, with All About Homes, you kind of go back and forth with exteriors, and the Texas Hill, it's called Texas Hill Country actually, is what drew my eye. And so we had that whole designed, and then now I call it the Texas Hill Modern because I feel like we play more on the modern side than the country side.
Very cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. Okay. So, what brought you guys here from Utah? I'm curious.
Oh my goodness. So my husband is a dentist. He went to dental school in Utah. We started dating when he was in undergrad. And thankfully he got into a school in Utah. So we were able to stay with our entire families. That's where we're all from. That's where everybody is during that time. And then we knew we were probably going to have to leave Utah in order to pave our way in the dentistry field. Well, for him. So we first went to Arizona and we lived in Scottsdale for 6 months, and that was so hard. The job wasn't great. There wasn't a lot of potential for growth, and it was really hot. Really, really hot.
Yeah. If you're not, accustomed to the heat, then it's an adjustment.
It's totally an adjustment. It's beautiful in its own way, but we were looking for mountains again and just cooler weather. And so we came out here, and a job opportunity to buy into a practice opened up here in Pueblo, Colorado, and we jumped on it. We came out to visit, and it was just such a perfect fit. So then we lived there for, I don't know, about 4-ish years. And then to make this like a long-term commitment, because we kept having that itch to go back home to Utah, that pull. And so we came up to this area and saw it, and then saw the lot, and we just knew that we could make this a long-term
So your
commitment.
family is a little sad probably knowing that you like it now.
Yeah, it's still hard because everyone lives there, and Utah's a beautiful place, and it's an amazing place to raise a family. But we've built a great community here, and our friends have become our family. So we try to juggle both. It's a little challenging, but yeah, they come out and visit us.
I love it.
Yeah.
So was your husband like, yeah, go for it? Or was he like, what are you doing when you said, I want to be an Instagram influencer?
So he's very supportive. He is amazing that way, but his job it's a lot of work. I mean, he's running that business, and that's he's the breadwinner in our household, but I've always wanted to bring in my own income and have my own business. So at first there was some pushback there because it takes time, and I take care of my children, as you know. And so juggling that and saying, hey, maybe instead of you golfing this day, maybe you could watch the kids so I could, work for the whole day. That was an adjustment. There was a lot of pushback, but we've juggled it. And now it's a very team effort.
Well, and now your kids are in school, so it's a little bit easier.
Now that they're in school, it really makes a big difference. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So what does a normal, I have a lot of questions about this. What does a normal week look like for you? Is it just more heavy on a certain day, and then it just automates, you pre-plan all your posts and all the things? Or is it almost every day that you're involved in it?
So I love working. It's something that I have to make a really good effort to pull myself back to be intentional with my time and family, because every day there is something that could be done, that I could be working on, that I could be pre-planning. So every day is a little different. And as a creative, I love having an open schedule to kind of see where it takes me and what I'm in the mood for that day. But because of that, some days can be more heavy oriented where I have brand collaborations due, or there's huge Labor Day sales going on, or I have certain commitments, or a filming day, things like that. So it's so different, and the week can always look different. My husband's schedule is never the same. We get it a month in advance, but then with the kids, and they have late starts and activities. So I just kind of play it by the week. I'm not saying it's the best way to do things,
but you still get it all done.
Somehow.
So, if you were to describe to people, I know what you do, but how would you describe what you do? So just meeting you, let's pretend at that baseball game, and I'm like, hi, I'm my kid's so-and-so playing on the field.
Yeah.
What do you do, Misa? What would you tell the mom?
So I would say I'm a content creator. I'm an Instagram home influencer. I connect customers or consumers to brands and vice versa. So,
And where can people follow you?
they can follow me on Instagram. That's where I am mainly.
And what's the handle?
At Misa Liddiard, MISALIDDIARD.
I love it.
Yeah.
So, just thinking through, like, did you always have an interest in design, or was that just like as you became an adult and started to decorate your own house? And where did it begin? Do you feel
That's
like?
such a great question. So Utah is the mecca for beautiful homes. Their parade of homes is people travel from all over.
I traveled before I built my home.
Really?
I went to Utah Parade of Homes to get ideas. I hope you saw that. Like when you saw my house, I hope it was kind of a little bit of a nod of the Utah landscape.
Your home is literal perfection. It's
well,
perfect.
I don't know about that, but I'm just saying Utah inspired my design for sure. Yeah.
No, it absolutely. I can totally see that. And the quality and attention to detail is, yeah.
So you grew up like just around that all the time?
Yeah, so I grew up in it's a little suburb called Highland, which is nestled right below Alpine, Utah, which is a huge, like people built the most fabulous homes there. So I remember in high school, I'd be driving my little Toyota Corolla just through the neighborhoods and looking at these beautiful homes and just wondering about the people behind them and what they did. And I always wanted that for myself one day, not just like the big home, but I just love when you work really hard for something and that can come to fruition in your space. And that's kind of where it all began. So thankfully my husband feels the same way, and he's always wanted a beautiful space to call home. And so in high school, I worked at a Chinese buffet restaurant. And so I would work and save up my money, and I went to IKEA and bought my whole bedroom set, and we would assemble it. And then I would go to Kohl's on the weekend for sheet sales when I was in high school. Now that I look back, I'm like, this is kind of interesting, but it makes sense now because I consider myself like a bedding expert. Like I know how to layer. So I guess it started early on. And then as we built this house, kind of sparked a whole thing of its own.
It's like you're putting all your little dreams in every little corner. I can feel like a
Yeah.
little a thought about it, like
Yeah.
even our home builder, I remember telling me like, we're not getting anything for her. We're literally just, it's a blank canvas for her to like put it
Yes.
together as she wants to.
Yes.
So I just thought that was cool because a lot of
Thank
people
you.
say, "Oh, pick everything out for me,"
Yeah.
but no, you really took to it and said, I want to decide what photos are on this wall. I want to decide,
Yeah.
all of those things. So did your husband just say, have free reign, do whatever you want?
Oh, no.
Oh, so he has an opinion too
He-
about the style?
100%. He is obsessed with homes. He has great ideas. And I think that's why he loved working with Scott so much, is because Scott is such a collaborative and he loves to envision things. And Jeremy's my husband, they would think about all kinds of stuff. So he has an opinion for sure on things, especially in the build process. As far as decor goes, I am more so able, like I just bought a painting for our wall. He wanted a big picture of Christ, which I love Christ and we are, we're Christians, but I wanted this horse picture. So I just ordered it and, he'll be surprised when it gets there.
I was going to ask you, do you have any advice for couples that maybe have different design tastes?
Oh,
and
gosh.
your advice sounds like just do what you want and
Ask
apologize
for
later.
forgiveness. Yes.
But sincerely though, do you have any advice that has helped you guys if you had different taste on things and you're like, okay, how do we make a decision?
So as far as decor goes, I feel like things are so interchangeable. To change bedding out, to change a piece of furniture, I feel like that's, you can have some give and take there. So compromise, maybe he gets to choose the couch, but you get to choose the fabric. I feel like design and build, that can be definitely a tension spot in any relationship because, you want your space to be something that represents you, but they also want that. So my advice would be to compromise, but also, it's not the easiest conversation to have, but usually
You just keep talking. Hopefully
absolutely
you keep talking it through.
let it rest for a minute and then go back and revisit.
We had a few moments when we were building that we decided like, hey, there's certain priorities that matter more to him than me and vice versa.
Okay.
So we decided like what departments of the home design process would be like theirs entirety. So
Okay.
for example, the sound in our home and outside. And exterior and interior was like very important to Jordan.
Okay.
And so I just said, okay, that's fine. I really don't care what kind of sound, meaning like,
Definitely.
system or how many speakers where, what, all the technology. I said, you can totally decide that. He also cared about how much lighting was in places because it creates an atmosphere. So I said, okay, you can choose how much lighting, but I'll choose the pieces.
Ooh.
Does that make sense? So
Yes.
like he decided how many cans went certain places or when we would maybe put extra lighting with the chandelier or something. But then I knew the whole aesthetic and I wanted to make sure it was cohesive. So I picked the style of light.
Oh, I really
And
like
so
that.
it was just kind of talking about, okay, what matters most to you in the home? And so whether people are designing from scratch or even in our very first home, these were our decisions, in our tiny little first baby home, we said, okay, there are certain things that matter to me. And to me, I wanted to paint the cabinets. They were like the oldest, ugliest things, but we couldn't afford to get new cabinets. So I remember thinking it was going to be so easy because I saw all this stuff online. I was like, we can just sandpaper it, scrub it down. I mean, that thing, I thought it would take us one weekend. It took us weeks to like finish the, taking all the primer off but doing it by hand. And you just do what you can do. And I was just so thankful because that house was not necessarily really beautiful when we started, but you can do things on a budget.
Absolutely.
You can do things to make any house more of your style in your home without having to necessarily design from scratch. I mean, I'm asking from the point of view, the home before you could design your own,
Yes.
I'm sure there were edits that you made and you made it beautiful, even though it wasn't like the exact layout you wanted.
Yeah, which I'm so happy you brought that up because, you don't have to design a custom home to make it your own and to feel that sense of this is your safe spot. This is where you get to retreat at the end of the day. So with our previous home that we bought, we changed out all the carpet and we even got a contractor in and asked for a bid or how can we remodel some things or paint a wall or maybe you're going to paint your doors. Like there's so many things you can do to make it your own or bring in a pillow. I mean, literally anything to make your space feel more you and so that you can be more productive and just feel more in tune with yourself.
Yeah, I want you to just talk on that for a second. It's like some people are like, oh, it's just decorating or design. And I'm like, it's not just like, I feel like spaces create an energy or not to be like weird. I'm just like, it has a feeling. And when you have people in your home and we have a lot of hosting happening in our home, our family's there a lot of the time. And so I'm just thinking like, it's more than that. It's not just a decoration to me. Like a home is a space. And so I'd love for you to talk about why does it matter? Like, why do you think it matters to create a good space?
I think it's one of the most important things you can do. It's how you're going to feel energized, empowered, and be able to tackle your day and pursue your dreams. If you can look out your window and create a really great spot where you like to work or do one of your hobbies, that centers you. And as far as like clutter and organization goes, that can help too, getting all that handled, just getting a basket to put the blankets in when you're not using them. It's those simple things. But I really do feel like your space can change everything, and it doesn't ever have to be big. Wallpaper, the pillow, and just taking care of that space just will help you.
Yeah. And I think it also make other people when they come over feel really comfortable.
Yeah,
how
definitely.
You set it up, which is cool.
Many young professionals ask me how to navigate selecting a career with purpose. Discovering our life path can feel overwhelming and out of reach. So we developed a tool to make finding your greatest contribution practical and achievable. Head to the show notes and click the link to immediately download our practical guide to discovering your greatest contribution. This is a series of journal prompts and pages developed by me, Mindy Linscomb, to help you discover exactly where you need to be.
Okay, you said you're an expert in layering bedding, and now you have me intrigued. Like, what is the proper order for layering bedding?
So this is all personal opinion, like
yes.
So many things, but a great sheet set. And then after that, you'll want to do either like a bed blanket. I really love the one from Boll and Branch. It's like a light down that you can add. It adds that extra layer, and it's perfect in Colorado because then you can kick off your duvet and just kind of have that. And then you want your duvet. So you want a good duvet insert. and then a good duvet cover, and that adds like the fluffiness and the layers. And then I do like to add a throw or a bed blanket at the end to add texture. Euro pillows, which are those huge like
Squares. Yeah.
Those are great to hide like the pillows that you use at night, to hide those. And then you can put two accent pillows that usually match your duvet in front of those. So there's so many ways to play around with it.
Is there a rule when it goes to like layering light to dark or dark to light?
No.
So you can do
Absolutely.
any
I like to
direction.
create contrast, and add textures. So whether it's a faux fur or a cowhide or a brown boucle, like something that will contrast against maybe like white sheets or things like that. So it's so fun. You can change it with the mood, and I'm not quite sure like what paint color you might have behind your bed, but you can create contrast with the bed frame there as well.
I love it.
It's fun.
Okay, and so tell me, what are your dreams for your company? Because I'm assuming it starts out like every influencer does, where it's like, this is a passion project. It's not a paid gig. It's a lot of hours,
Yes.
a lot of years even before you start to get brand deals, which I'm assuming that's where the income comes from, is brand deals. Is that right?
So there's a few different ways that I bring in income as a content creator. So one of them is licensing, and that's when I create content, mainly really for myself, but then I might pitch to a brand, hey, do you want to pay to license these videos or photos? You can use them for the year to push money behind on Pinterest, like Facebook ads, things like that, or you can use them in your own online or digital marketing. So that's one of the ways I make money. Another way is with affiliate marketing. So I'm a part of a couple different affiliate, I don't even know what you call them, companies. One of them is Like to Know It, and I get a percentage of every sale that I bring to them. And that's also where I get brand deals, which I get a lot of those brand deals through Like to Know It. And that's been a big chunk too. So,
And so a brand deal, what does that look like? Where a brand says, hey, will you put this in your house and take a picture of it, tag us, and then we'll maybe be collaborators on the post, and you get like a flat fee for it?
Yeah, so it's different every single time.
Every deal.
So some are a good contract. Well, all of them have contracts, and there's a lot of details to look through, and I've learned a lot from the very beginning to what to look for now, to the point where I do decline a few just because with exclusivity and certain things, it just doesn't match. And they do take some time. So a lot of the times it's a flat fee that you can negotiate, depending on the terms, and then they'll possibly send product. It just all depends. Sometimes I had to source my own product. Sometimes I already have the product in my house. It just depends what everybody likes. Like I just worked with Lowe's, and theirs was a gift card that I would go choose something out, and then I also get a flat fee for that. And then if they want to come back and license anything or boost anything, that would also be an additional fee. So yeah, it's a big play on things. As far as goals go, though, I'm really excited. I want to start my own digital side of the business, something that I'm more in control of, and it's just fun. So that's what I'm working on now, and hopefully I'll have something out.
Yeah, I was like, can you tell us more about it or not yet?
Yeah. Oh, no, I totally can.
Yeah, tell us.
I've been working on building my email list. I have a couple freebies that I'm really excited about that I've been building that with. And then a really cool thing, I've been working with but Kajabi. You've heard of Kajabi.
Yep.
I really like them. That's where I have all my email lists through and automations. But they released it's called a branded app. So it kind of takes the guesswork out on building your own thing on the back end. So I can make a free, if I wanted to, like a shelf styling guide, or I can make it a paid styling guide. You can have a monthly membership, or they can just they want to just buy the one course, no big deal. So I'm really excited about that because it makes it branded, which is really important to me, but I'm not having to try to build out my own software, and that can be really expensive.
But you can help people with their styling even more than just Instagram post of this. If you gave people styling guides, they can overlay that with their own plan at home.
Yes, which is what I really want. I'm not very great with one-on-one interior design help, and that's something I will probably never do, but I do like helping the masses. Hey, here's this, you can implement however you like at home, or maybe at one day I will do like groups, like a coaching group over like 1 or 2 months, and maybe we'll tackle something together on a Zoom call, and I'll have like assignments and things like that. So it's just exciting because I feel like I can build out that side, and then also one day I would love to help like a group grow their Instagram or their online business, because
Yeah,
it's
what
so
do you think has
fun.
been the thing that really, like, was there a day that just all of a sudden you were like just trucking along and then you just like, oh my gosh, we have 100,000 followers or we have 200,000 followers? I mean, was there a day that it just kind of clicked, or was it slow and steady?
The first year was kind of fast, but I sat at 1,000 followers for like 2 years, right? And it wasn't until I really sat down and decided, hey, I'm going to commit every single day to this. I'm going to upload a reel that is going to help someone, that I started to see growth. When I first hit 3,000 followers, I was as happy as could be. Like, I thought, like, I'd made it. Like, this is all I need. And then things kind of just kept escalating. And so the first year I committed to Instagram, I hit 100,000 by the end of December of 2022.
Was it one particular post that did it for you, or was it several?
You know, it's several.
Okay.
It builds. Like, your first viral reel or piece of content, usually right after the next one does really well. And then when you have and not all of them do well. And sometimes that's the one hard thing with Instagram or with any social media. It's not about going viral. It's also about what is your conversion. Like, what are you trying to convert to? Are you trying to convert someone to like your freebie? You want to get them on your email list? Are you just really trying to help them that day? Or is this just like a brand building post? So all of it, in my opinion, when you're uploading to Instagram, it's all analytics. You can look at every single thing and decide, hey, if I want to grow more, I need to repost something like this because this gave me like 7,000 followers that week or something. Yeah. So, and it's fun. Really, it's fun. So,
and now where's your latest number at?
So 246 is where I'm at right now.
And very engaged post. I'm just saying, like, people are very engaged. And that's another thing I think people misconstrue, is that a high following amount means that they're an influencer. I'm like, but sometimes their engagement is down.
Yes.
And so people aren't necessarily engaging in, like you said, getting the real purpose of it, which is probably to grow an email list or something else.
Absolutely.
And so I think brands, and correct me if I'm wrong because I'm not in your shoes, but I think they don't care as much about the follower count as they do about the conversions. So like, they might even look for micro influencers that are 3,000 followers where you thought you hit it, and still be interested in working with you.
Absolutely. And each brand is different, right? So I would say it wasn't until I hit about 150,000 that brands were like, okay, we'll pay you, which is really frustrating because it takes money and it takes time to build a following and a presence. And I'll sometimes have brands come to me now where they just want, what is it called? Like a gifting. And unless it's a brand I'm absolutely obsessed with and the gifting is going to be like above and beyond anything I could have ever hoped for, I won't take it, because the impressions and eyeballs that they're going to get on their page and the work that it takes to get that content up, and where it's going to be put all over Pinterest, all over my Like to Know It, all over, it's going to stay on my feed. There has to be a good exchange. And so I'm a big advocate for the creator, but also I want to be an advocate for the brand too, because I want them to see that conversion. But conversion also isn't the only metric, because with, they still do it with commercials. I'm not quite sure if they measure conversion, but they're paying for that spot just to get the eyeballs. And just because someone doesn't comment doesn't mean they're not looking, or if they're not buying, they're not going to buy yet, but they might be at the store and be like, oh, so-and-so said this, I'm going to grab that. So there's some conversion that definitely you can follow, and then there's a lot that you can't as well. But yeah, I like to be an advocate for both sides.
Yeah, because you can see it both ways.
Yeah.
As a business owner too, with your husband, I'm sure you're like, I see it both ways.
Totally.
It's not just like the creators got to benefit from it, but also, it's life. Win-win, as I always say. It's got to be a win-win. It's got to be a win-win. So I love
like
that. What would you say were maybe one of the biggest challenges you faced in this 8 years of doing all of these, growing, changing from YouTube to Instagram, changing from makeup to house? Like,
Yes.
what would you say when you look back, a challenge that comes to mind that you're like, you know what, that did catch me off guard? One of the challenges, maybe it was a bad brand deal or a miscommunication or a follower got weird and said something hurtful on your post. I have no idea, but what would you say a challenge was during this time?
I think, well, there's a lot of challenges, right? Like juggling working and motherhood, that's a challenge. I think one of the hardest things I've ever had to deal with is just when you know someone and you have like a close relationship with them and then maybe they unfollow you, that can be really hurtful, right? And it's usually for reasons like you don't know, and things like that. So it's a mind game. Social media is a mind game, and whether or not we like it, we're attached to the likes and the comments, and it's hard to detach ourselves sometimes. So that's been a challenge where sometimes I always take Saturdays off. Like I'll upload a reel, but I don't get on stories that day. And for the most part, like the home niche on Instagram is so kind. Like the community is phenomenal. Like the friends you make are amazing. And I rarely have to deal ever with like negativity or anything like that. And if there is someone that is like that, I just block them and just move and head about my day. So
you've met some friends through this.
absolutely. Yeah.
I love that. And they're all over the country, I bet.
Yeah. They are, they are just amazing and they inspire me because they're moms, they're business owners, they're just heading this all up, and they all started it at the same spot. I remember following some of my favorite influencers when I first started building my house. The Hillary Style, the Broadmoor House, when they were under 100,000 followers, and now they're at 1.5 million, and they have created these massive businesses. And I am honored to like have them in my DMs and also their personal numbers, and they're so supportive and offer just like great advice.
Yeah, I was going to say, did you ever pay for coaching or get help throughout this process, or has it been just a school of hard knocks?
Oh gosh, a little bit of both. So I am kind of obsessed with online courses. Which is like why I listen to your podcast a lot. Whenever I'm doing the dishes, anytime I have downtime, I put an AirPod in my ear and I'm like, okay, what podcast am I listening to? Oh, I need to do this online course thing that I've heard.
So you have paid for coaching, essentially, maybe not with a one-to-one coach, but you've bought courses to learn how to grow.
Absolutely. I went to a retreat 3 years ago on Instagram growth before I had even thought about jumping on Instagram. And that was where I met a couple of my really good friends, which was really important starting out. And then what other coaching have I done? I've done a lot of Instagram, just online courses. I took a Pinterest course. And then this year I invested big time into it. It's a group coaching per se. And it's more so it's hard to explain. It's more of like kind of spirituality and being in tune with like our chakras and things like that, just being more aligned with ourselves. And so that one's been an interesting one because they have incorporated business into it. But I do know in order to take the next step in my business, because I have some massive walls put up, I will need to hire a personal coach that can really help me knock those down. So essentially the money I make from my business, majority of it goes right back in. And that's when I do the online courses, I do all the things, and it makes me happy.
I love it. Well, it's just, I think that's how you grow, is you put a value on yourself and you say, hey, it's worth continuing my education, because you wouldn't be here 8 years later as a mega home influencer if it wasn't for probably all the investment you took to grow yourself and meet those friends, go on the retreats, ask them questions. And now, I love that you're seeing their success and high-fiving it, and then same for your success. So I love that.
Thank you.
What would you say to someone, starting out as a young mom, that's like, hey, they want to start a business. Maybe it's not even an influencer business. It's just some kind of business. What would you say to them when their husband is the breadwinner and they're looking at their little kids and going like, I have babies at home. How can I really do this? How can I start a business right now? What would you say to them?
I would say if you feel it in your heart and you have that pull and you cannot like go away from it, you just do it. So do something every single day, whether it's 10 minutes, 30 minutes while they're playing, nap time, doesn't matter, that you can work toward your business and it slowly grows. It's all a navigation, and we all have the mom guilt. I've listened to your podcast about mom guilt, and that's really, really helpful. But you just try to slowly create that time for yourself and realize that you're building this for yourself and for your family, and that you're going to be a great example to your kids, that they can pursue any dream that they want, and things will just slowly navigate until, you know, maybe you hire that house cleaner so you can have that little bit of extra time. Maybe you find an amazing nanny or sitter that can help just a few times a week. But to push for it and talk to your spouse and say, hey, like on these nights, I need you to cook so I can, you know, go into my room and work this out. Or there's so many options, but it is a constant navigation. And I don't think I'm by any means at the end of trying to navigate it. I feel like I'm at the very start, but just start. And if you feel that pull, you have to go for it.
I love
Really
it.
do.
Well, I think that's a great word, because even if it is just 10 minutes a day or 30 minutes a day, it's like start to pursue your dreams. And I also think it helps with your mental health to have something that you're like working on.
Yeah.
Even if it is just, you know, minimal. The thing is, sometimes as moms, we can wrap up our whole identity into just who we are as a mom. But I know there's so much more in a lot of people, and it doesn't mean career, but maybe you're supposed to write a book, or maybe you're supposed to paint, or, I mean, it's so many things. And so I just love that we all have different gifts, and I want to encourage moms to not lose themselves in these seasons, but to still say, hey, what are my gifts? And even if it's 10 minutes a day, if I can have that me time, I think you do come back a little more refreshed for your kids.
Absolutely.
And more refreshed for your family. So that's really awesome. Well, I hope more people follow you, especially if they're just like, I'm into this. Even if they're not designing in your style, I still think there are products that I love to see that I'm like, oh my goodness, yours is more modern, but I love like a rug that you use that I would totally use in my house or whatever. So I think it's so fun. And I love when you do talk about motherhood and doing, you know, all of the juggle, because it's a lot. It's a lot. So, well, thank you for coming into the studio today. This is such an honor. And I hope many people listening will be inspired when they go read about you, see what you're doing, and hear your story of like, okay, mom chasing the dream and started. I love that you pivoted too from one whole thought process to another, because we don't pivot enough, Misa. I don't think we stop and go like, hey, maybe we should change directions, you know? And if you keep hitting a wall, like with the makeup thing, didn't you feel like, I keep hitting a wall, I got to redirect?
Yeah. Swimming upstream all the time, right?
Yes. It's like, yes, just keep
That's great
adjusting.
advice.
Just keep adjusting. Cause I mean, maybe whatever your business is, as you're listening, I'm just like, if one of your products is like going well, or one of your offerings, it's like, do more of that.
I like that.
You know, do more of that, because it's the audience tells you. This is what I always say: our customers tell us what they like.
Okay.
So whatever they are buying more of, or adjusting, like they're like seeing a lot of like, you know, for you, a post goes crazy and lots of comments. I just would tell someone, talk more about that. Okay. People love it. You know, for us with this show, perfect. I would tell you, we get a lot of comments when we talk about working parents. So it's just an interesting thing, but it's like, it seems to be a little bit of a struggle to figure out how to do the career thing as you have kids. And so, you know, if both parents want to do the dream, there are ways to still be great parents and be invested in your kids. I know you guys are great parents, but you're also full-time in a career. So it's just cool to see how you can do both. It's possible.
Thank you. Well, you're inspiring, and your podcast truly is so helpful. I feel like you hit every single aspect in a business, from the relationship side to the parenting side. And I love that you had your son on, and so I really appreciate it. And
well, we're learning together, aren't we?
Oh gosh.
We're learning together. I'm so lucky. She's a Colorado Springs neighbor. And so that's the coolest thing. So anyways, thanks for being on today. And if you guys enjoyed this episode, please comment, like it, subscribe, tell your friends about the Something New show, and give Misa a follow. I hope we continue to see you and hang out with you here again at the Something New show. Until next time, bye.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe to the show, rate, review, and share with a friend. Also, follow The Something New Show on Instagram and Facebook. If you want a fuller experience, watch the show on YouTube to help you create a life worth celebrating.